everyone, it's Melanie Ham. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are going to be doing this ripple crochet blanket. Super excited to share this one with you. Beginner friendly, easy. This is a good one for watching a movie, hanging out with your friends and family. Doesn't take a whole lot of counting or brain power to accomplish this project, which I love. This is actually the first blanket that I ever made. This one right here. Funny enough, I never finished it. See all my I never finished it. I started making this blanket when my husband got home from Afghanistan in 2010. So we were doing a lot of just hanging out, which is great for this type of pattern. We were sitting around playing with our 18-month-old son for like months, and that was back in 2010. So our son just turned 11, which is pretty crazy. The ripple is similar to my chevron blanket, but it doesn't have those holes that you can get with your pattern, which a lot of you don't like. So this is a great alternative. Modern fall color palette. I've got a little ridge detail on here that is optional. All of that stuff can be found at the blog. Sizing, yarn options, modification options, all that stuff is going to be found. My first link down below is the blog post. This video is going to just be the tutorial on how to accomplish this blanket. If you find my tutorials and my videos valuable, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It's a great way to tell YouTube that they should show my video to people, which is really, really helpful. So let's jump right into the tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make it. All right, let's get started on our blanket. So when we are first starting, in case you're kind of new, I pull yarn out from the center. I'm going to be using my Clover Amour hook, which is my very favorite hook. This is a J 6mm. That is what the yarn recommends. So no matter what yarn you pick, use the recommended hook size that's on the label. All right, so we're starting with the slip knot, and this pattern is an advanced beginner, I would say. We are going to be doing some decreasing stitches, and I don't recommend tackling a large blanket for your very first couple of projects. I would recommend scarves or maybe washcloths or some different smaller projects to get you in the groove of learning these stitches first. What we need to do is multiples of 16 plus 3. So your number needs to be divisible by 16, and then we're going to add 3 for our turning chain. So I'm going to do 208. So we're going to do our foundation chain of 208 plus 3. So you can make that 208 number a little bit different, but make sure it can be divided by 16, which is going to be our multiple. We are going to start with our foundation chain, and the big thing with foundation chains is to make sure that your hook is doing the work for you. We don't want to make these teeny little stitches, and we don't want to also make these like really loosey-goosey floppy stitches. Like, that's not going to work. Let the hook create the size for you. That's why we're using specific size hooks, and that will just make your life so much easier. So we're gonna make sure you're counting properly. So sit where you can focus for a few minutes and count up to 208 or whatever your number is. I'll meet you there when I'm done, and I'm gonna go focus too. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll meet you at 208. All right, we're at 208. Remember, we need to add 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a cloudy day, so I apologize if I have to mess with the lighting occasionally. All right, so that was 208 plus 3. So make sure to add those 3 chains at the end. So now what we're going to do, basically those 3 chains count as a double crochet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. In the 4th chain, right? So basically those plus 3 just count as this double crochet. So we are going to put a double crochet in that 208th stitch. Okay, so then in that 4th stitch over, we're going to place a double crochet. So this turning chain counts as a double crochet, and then this guy. Now we are going to do 5 double crochets, 1 in each. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over, 2 loops. And we need 5 of those. I like to insert my hook underneath 2 strands. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. 5 is going to be our magic number. That's going to be all of the stitches in between our decreases and increases. These last two over here at the end, those are our extras that have to be at the end of our blanket. So we're going to revisit that when we get to the other end. But 5 is our magic number. However, when we're first getting started, we're going to have these 2 extra. So then it's got the 2 extra, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these 2 extra only are on the ends. So now we need to decrease. Decreasing is basically turning 2 stitches into 1. So let's do a double crochet decrease, which is yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over 2 loops, then we're going to yarn over, insert into the next foundation chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3. And that created those 2 stitches into 1. So one more time, we're going to do a decrease, which is basically 2 double crochet together. So it's 2 DCTOG is the reference. You can check that out on the pattern, written pattern if you want to. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch over, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over, all 3 remaining to connect those 2 stitches. So see here we have 2 into 1, 2 into 1. Now we need to do 5 double crochet. So after you've done these, sometimes you get confused over where the next stitch is over here on this side. So just keep an eye out for that so that you don't miss a stitch and then have your numbers be off when you get back to the end. Okay, so we're going to do a double crochet in here. Remember, 5 is that magic number. Okay, so we had our 2 decreases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we need to do our increases. So here was my sample that I made when I was working out the multiples. So these are our decreases over here, up into our increases here, back down. So there's 5 stitches in between. So we need to add some stitches in here, take away down here, but all the numbers end up working out. We need to do 2 double crochet in the same stitch. So here's 1 and then another double crochet in the same foundation chain. And then we need to do that again. So right next door, 2 double crochets. So we've got that. Now we need to do 5 double crochets again. Remember, 5 is that magic number. I'm going to go a little faster and speed this up. Okay, our increases, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're back to our decreases. And we're going to continue in that same manner all the way to the end. So we had our ends, which are kind of its own thing. 5, 2 decreases, 5, 2 increases, 5, 2 decreases. Again, check the written pattern if that's helpful to you. Check the diagram if that's helpful for you. But you're going to keep going in that manner all the way to the end of your 208 foundation chain. I will meet you there. Here we go. Here's my first pass going down. Okay, so when we get to the end, hopefully this is where you are at. So we had our 2 decreases, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then hope and pray you have got one left over. Okay, so if that happened to you, you did it right. Yes, you can celebrate. Okay, so we are going to then do our, remember at the beginning, we had our 2 over here, and I told you it was kind of its own thing, okay, because we only do these extra 2 on the ends, right? So we have our extra chain to do our ending, which is 2 double crochets. And I know it just seems kind of counterintuitive and strange that you constantly put 2 on the ends. And I know I haven't really figured it out beyond the fact that I just know that it works. Okay? So here on my sample, at the end of all of these rows is 2. See that? 2, 2, 2. Okay? And that keeps that nice straight line. Chain 3, right? 1, 2, 3, turn our work. We need to place a double crochet right here in this first stitch, because remember, at the beginning and the end of every single row, we need to have 2 stitches, and this chain 3 counts as your first one. So we need to add our second one as our ending or beginning, where we need to have 2. Now we're back to that magic 5 number. All right, so we're going to do 5 double crochet. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, now looking at the previous row, we've got a double crochet, and then we've got our 2 decreases. So this is right. So you want to start your decrease again. So we're going to do another decrease here in this little valley, starting with a double crochet. So we're going to be decreasing this double crochet and this decreased stitch from the previous row, and then the second decreased stitch and this double crochet. Okay? So that's right if that's looking, the right way, because we need to make 2 into 1. So we're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over, all 3. All right, same thing in the next 2 stitches, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over, all 3. Okay? There is our decrease. And you're going to see that as the second row progresses, that wave is going to be more pronounced. All right, magic number 5. 5 single crochet or 5 double crochets. Ready, go. So we've got our decrease, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to do our 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and that should be happening. So you see here the previous row, this is our increase, our 2 in the same stitch. We finished number 5 in that first one. So our 2, where we do 2 double crochet in the same stitch, should be these 2 center stitches. Okay? It's just a way to double check yourself and make sure that you didn't accidentally add an extra stitch or not do quite enough stitches, so that all of those stitches are happening in the same location throughout your entire blanket. So we have our 2 and our 2. Magic number 5. Continue that same process going all the way across. I'll meet you at the end of this row. All right, here we are at the end. Now we've got our 2 decrease, right? So decrease 1, decrease 2. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's our magic number 5, but remember this turning chain counts as a double crochet. So our last 2, those endings and beginnings that are where we need to add those extra stitches are going to go in that turning chain. Okay, so just right here at the top of the chain, we're going to place 2 double crochets. Because remember, at the beginning and the end of all of these rows, we need to have 2 stitches. So don't even think of them as part of the row. They're like the ending piece, right? So we had our 5 and then our ending, which is those 2 stitches. Here's the blanket that I showed you at the beginning of the video, and this one is showing 2 rows, but this is how it would look if you wanted to do 2. This is a very similar weight of yarn, so up to you, won't really matter. I'm going to do 3. So that means we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work, and we're going to continue down for our 3rd row. So I'll meet you at the end of the 3rd row and show you how to change your colors. And one little detail thing that we're going to do. Okay, so I want to give you a really quick tip as I'm finishing up my 4th row. I actually changed my mind. I was going to do 3 initially, but I decided to do 4, and I'll explain why in just a second. But one little tip is when you're doing these decreases, tension-wise, I don't ever tighten my stitch after I create it. So when you make your double crochet, try not to tighten it after the fact with most of your stitches. I do, however, tighten it down with these decreased stitches because there tends to be a little kind of gap. I'll show you where it tends to happen. When you come over here in the 2nd stitch, you do 2. So see how this kind of spot can be a little larger? So it kind of can create this little bit looser stitch. So for the decreased stitches, I actually do tighten it down once I'm finished making it, just to keep those nice and tight so we don't have spots of our blanket that have larger spaces. That's not a good habit to be into for the entire blanket though, because that can really tighten out your stitches and mess up your tension as you go. So really you want to let the hook do the work for you. You want to let your yarn be gliding across your hands, but you don't want to be tightening down every single stitch. As I'm going, I'm stitching and I'm just going right into the next one. There is no tightening happening, none of that, as I continue with my double crochet. Okay, so just a little tippy tip kind of thing. Okay, we have our 2 decreases, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to be putting our 2 in the ends and switching colors. All right, here is our turning chain. So we need to be placing, remember, 2 stitches in there. So here's double crochet 1, double crochet 2. We're going to pull through 2 loops, but when you still have 2 on your hook, you're going to grab your new color and you're going to pull through with your new color. And it kind of gets a little loosey-goosey here. So then I tighten everything down. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn our work. Now this is an optional little step that I'm going to do the first row of my new color in the back loop only, and it's going to create this little ridge detail. So that will only be every 4 rows. I feel like it's annoying to do stitching in the back loop for like an entire project because you have to be, it slows you down because you have to be more specific about where you're placing your hook. And so I find that it really can add a lot more time and frustration to your projects. So I only do it very sparingly. So how we're going to do that is yarn over, and in this first stitch, instead of going underneath the 2 strands, we're going to go underneath just in this back loop. Now it can tend to stretch a little bit, so I end up putting my fingers to kind of cover that and secure that stitch a little bit more so that I'm not stretching it out. And it's going to create this slight little ridge, and the reason why that needs to be on the 4th one is because this is the right side of our project. So we see this is our foundation chain and then stitching in the front of our foundation chain. This is the back, so the bottom looks different. This is technically the back side of your work. this is the front side of your work. And so we want that little ridge to happen on the front side of your work. So that will only happen on those even number of rows, if that makes sense. So if you only want to do 2, if you're going to go on your 3rd pass, you want to make sure you're facing the front of your work when you're doing the back loop only. All right, just a little tidbit. So we're going to yarn over, back loop. And again, I like to kind of place my thumb there and help so that it's not pulling up like that and creating like this larger hole. Again, totally optional. You might notice that in the photo. So it's the same exact work going all the way down. You're just going to be doing that in the back loop. And then you can cut your gray. There's going to be too much space in between the next time we do gray, so we're not going to travel it up the side. So we're just going to cut it, leaving 5-6 inches so that we can weave that in later. Okay, so here's how it's looking, just a really subtle little ridge that's happening right here. That's what we're creating with that back loop. So let me show you the decrease real quick. It's the exact same thing. I go 2, yarn over, next stitch over, 2, all 3, and kind of tighten those decreases down. That's how you change your color and do that back loop. So then when I reach the end of my row and then go to do my 2nd row of pink, I'm going to do it normal. No more back loop until I switch to my tan. So my 3rd color is going to be the tan. The 1st row of my tan, I'm going to do the back loop. Then do 4 rows total of each color. And then when I'm done with the tan, I'm going to switch to the mustard and then back around to the charcoal. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So happy stitching, get comfortable, and yeah, I'll pop back in with you in a little bit. All right, what'd you think? Not too bad, right? Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help you guys. Don't forget to check out the blog post for all the details and the free printable pattern that's there for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.